What is Southeast Asia? This is a course on the modern history of a region that we call Southeast Asia. But what is this region? Why do we put these places together? And what's the logic behind it? This place that we're looking at is one of incredible diversity. If you look at it in terms of the environment, you've got the dry, arid area of central Burma. You have lush tropical jungles in Borneo, cool mountain peaks on the mainland, miles of beautiful beaches in the Philippines, and majestic volcanic peaks stretching across the Indonesian islands. In terms of human beings, you have incredible diversity in terms of ethnicity, occupation, that one can find across the region, but even within individual nation states as well. So what is Southeast Asia? Why do we talk about it as one unit? That's a difficult issue, and it's one that people have been struggling with, because if you go back in time and look for some kind of concept that people in the past used to unite this area, you can't find any. Yes, the Chinese had the term Nanhai to refer to basically the southern seas, or all of those places down there that are different from us. People from the Middle East who were traveling between the Middle East and India and China referred to this region as the land below the winds, because it was an area where they were aided by these seasonal monsoon wind patterns that blew 6 months in one direction and the other direction in the other 6 months. But again, that's great, but it doesn't really tell us what is it that makes sense about this area as a region. When Europeans arrived on the scene and started to colonize the area, they saw traces of an ancient past that had clearly been influenced by cultural practices coming from the area of what we now call India. And they therefore came up with terms like Further India or Greater India to refer to this area of the world. Others on the mainland realized that there was an area there where in the past there were cultural influences from both India and the area that we now call China, and they referred to that area therefore as Indochina to explain the cultural roots of the region. As for the term Southeast Asia, as is well known, that's a term that only came to be used during World War II, when there was a unit that the Allies divided the world into, known as the Southeast Asian Theater. That, however, was also something pretty vague. It started out being an area that stretched from India to British-controlled Burma and Malaya and parts of Sumatra, whereas the Philippines was more in the Pacific theater that the Americans were fighting in. As the war progressed, though, these two theaters expanded and eventually came in contact with each other, but there was no kind of logical, cultural, or social reason to call this area Southeast Asia. Nonetheless, the name took hold, and after World War II, there were universities in places like the United States that got government support to start studying about this area, and they referred to this area as Southeast Asia and established centers of Southeast Asian studies. So it's a term that we're stuck with, but what does it refer to? Hell if I know, but I'm going to try to explain it in the next video, so let's go see.